The next step in the writing process is after you have brainstormed and then you pre-wrote and drafted. Your draft is just your rough draft of what you wanted to say. The next one is superstar revising and editing. And this is when you're going to take your paper to the ER, the editing and revising room, and you're just going to read it. Oftentimes our brains work faster than our hands, and so oftentimes your paper doesn't say exactly what you think it says, and so when you edit and revise it, it's very important that you read it. You can either even use a whisper phone and go back and read it to yourself. I just pointed out a couple of different things that I think are good, or maybe even some things that I need to work on, but like right here, one thing that they're really going to be looking at is if you are a developed enough writer that you can, that you make good word choices. So like here, I never know, because I never know what a new concept is. Well, concept is a very advanced word, and so anytime that you can use a word, you don't want to throw in a word that you don't know exactly what it means, but anytime that you can add a word and take a risk, even if you don't necessarily know how to spell it, anytime you can take a risk, that's going to be good. So like right here, as far as I can remember, I've always been good. Well, instead of good, I could change that to a lot of different things, but I think I'll take out good and I'm going to put fantastic. I've always been fantastic at math, because fantastic is a better word than good. Same thing down here. The person who really made me love math, well, like and love, those are all words. So maybe I could say excited about or enjoy. Wouldn't enjoy be better than math? So anytime that you can go through while you're revising and editing, reading it word for word to make sure it makes sense, you're going to be looking for the cups. Remember cups when we're editing? That is, you're going to be looking for capitalization. You're going to be making sure usage, making sure that all of your subject, you know, if you wrote it in past tense, that all the words are past tense. So you're going to be looking for usage, making sure it makes sense, making sure you write the way we talk. Punctuation. So you're making sure all your sentences start with a capital letter, end with an end mark, and end with the correct end mark. If it's a question, put a question mark. If it is an exclamation point, put an exclamation point. If it's a period, also make sure you use the period. Also, you're going to make sure that you check your spelling. Now, I know you're kids and that it's not going to be perfect, but you need to try your very best to spell the very best you can. That's going to ensure that your paper is better. So when you revise and edit, you're going through, you're making sure that your paper sounds the way you want it to sound. You're going to make sure that you're checking these things. You're also going to make sure that you're checking the arms. That's what we do when we're editing. Do I need to add anything to my story? Did everything that you brainstorm about that was important, did you make sure that you fit it in your story? Is there anywhere where you need to add any more information? Is there any information in your story that does not support your central idea statement that you maybe need to remove or take out of your story? And then, is there any information that you move? Like maybe you accidentally added a detail down here that needs to move up here. So all of those are things that you need to look at when you're editing and revising your story. Here's a perfect example, and this is an honest mistake that I made when I went back to reread it. It said, I will always remember Mrs. Bradford. Well, I don't want it to say that, and I think this is a perfect example of how sometimes your brain works faster than your hand. So as I'm revising and editing and checking my spelling, I'm just going to go back and fix those mistakes. So editing and revising is very important. It just means that you're making sure that you have everything in your paper that you want to make sure you do. And when you're done, you can move on to your published draft. Your published draft is going to go on this lined paper. I will tell you that as we did the boxes, this is where my paragraphs are going to be. I'm going to start a paragraph here. This is going to be a paragraph. And this is going to be a paragraph. And remember, when you start a new paragraph, this is indented and all the rest of the lines go all the way back to the margin. Also, when you're writing your final draft, don't put in our tricks like the who, what, when, where, why, or the bada bing, or the CSI. Don't put any of those tricks or those hints or those behind the scenes little cheat notes that we put. You don't want to tell them how you came up with your amazing paper. Okay? So this is what superstar revising looks like. You're going back, you're making good word choices, and you're checking to make sure it says exactly what it needs to say.